Hi, I am Brien Lundin, and I am here with another Backstage Metals Investor Forum interview. And we're interviewing now Luis Zapata, the president and CEO of Oro X Mining, symbol OROX on the TSX Venture Exchange. And this is a very interesting play. It's one that I've recommended in Gold Newsletter as much because of the management team and the backers behind the company as it is for the company's project in Peru. And there's an extra kicker to it that we'll mention in a moment. But first, Luis, can you give us an idea of what makes Oro X go? Let's talk about the management team and the backers behind the company and the company's goals, both exploring its current project and perhaps more down the road.
Yes. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Doing
I mean,
great.
Oro X is an interesting story. As you know, we're named X because of the X brand. That's due to my partner, Paul Matisic, former chairman of Lithium X, now CEO of Gold X. One got taken out, one's a $150 million company right now. So Oro X is just a Peru deal. I mean, me and Paul had been talking about doing a Peru deal for a few years, and we just went ahead and did it this last year.
Yeah, and another great thing is that because of the COVID pandemic, a lot of companies have had to restrict their travel and haven't been able to really take advantage of this bull market in the metals as much as it's been volatile, but are really stuck in their desks. You're there on the ground in Peru, and one of the stated goals of the company is to be very aggressive in searching out new projects in the country. I know that you're seeing some things you like, but nothing that you can really share with the market right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. Both Paul and I are currently in Lima. We've been traveling all over the country, me especially over the past 4 months, along with our team. So yeah, I mean, look, Peru's a great place. It's a tier 1 mining destination. With my background in investment banking and sales and trading, I've had my hands into the country for quite a long time, and this year especially, I mean, due to the situation globally, there's been a lot of projects that we've had our eyes on that have now become available, and we've been touching them all.
Yeah, it's one of the premier mining and exploration districts in all of the world, and you certainly have the expertise on the ground and the people who know how to not only find the projects, but develop them and get the money necessary to develop, and really just company builders with just extraordinary track records. But you already have a firm foothold in the country with the Coriorcco asset. And what I like about that is you can actually see the mineralization because some of the veins have literally been mined in front of you, and you can see on the hillside exactly where they are. Can you go into a little bit more detail about that aspect?
For sure. Look, Coriorcco is a project we've had our eyes on for quite a few years. It's a system where you have 17 outcropping veins over a dome structure. The veins all outcrop at surface between 2010 and 2011. As I mentioned in my interview yesterday, they were mined. 2 of those veins were mined. The miners had pulled out about 10,000 tons of 7 to 10 grams. So we actually got a hold of the mining records, and we figured out that, net of mining dilution, the grades were probably a bit higher than that. So it was an interesting project. We were able to get our hands on it. The previous operator had also sampled all the veins at surface, and came up with good grades. So, we have grade at surface, we have grade 50 to 100 meters below. We think the grade continues down, and we think it's the upper reaches of an interesting low sulfidation epithermal system. So when we had a chance to get our hands on it, we just jumped at it.
And you have a fairly advantageous permitting situation there. Don't you have a small scale mining permit already in place?
Yeah, the project had historically a small scale mining permit in place. As you know, Peru has legislation which allows you to do that when you are a Peruvian citizen with a Peruvian subsidiary. So that's the path we were choosing. Today, we announced the signing of a 6-year exploration agreement with the community of Coriorcco, which is something that had never been done before. The project had been in the hands of various international explorers, but they could never reach an agreement with the community. We took a very Peruvian tact with the community. We went in there the first day we signed an option over the project, and today we just announced a 6-year program for a grand total cost of 150,000 Canadian over 6 years, plus other things. So I think that's a groundbreaking agreement for the project.
Yeah, a real advantage being there on the ground and taking a Peruvian approach. They don't see you as an outsider coming in, and look at you immediately with a suspicious eye. So that's a prime advantage that you're using in that regard. What are the exploration plans for Coriorcco?
Look, right now we're just announced we're starting the 3D IP program over the vein systems. That's obviously to define drill targets, but also towards the east and northeast to see whether there's more veins under younger geology. We think there will be. There's also mapping and sampling programs. So we're all really being driven towards getting the drill bit in there, right? So all our program this year, this quarter specifically, is meant to delineate drill targets. We start February 1st. We signed the community agreement last Thursday, and we'll be there in 2 weeks.
And how's the funding for the company?
We're fully funded through our stage 1 drill program. We raised $6 million when we announced the option and became Oro X in June of this year. So with that cash in hand, we're good to go right now.
Oh, wonderful. And again, the reason why I really like this company and recommended in the Gold newsletter was an opportunity to get behind the team that you have. And Paul's record is extraordinary. If you look at the companies that he's built over the years, getting into one of his plays early is always worked out very well for investors. And that's important to know, is that this is very early in your lifespan as the company. It's trading at a very advantageous, low market cap. The share structure is really tight, and the thing's ready to fly, frankly. And I know that you have bigger plans ahead, even though Coriorcco is an extraordinary deposit or project of its own. You do have bigger plans ahead, but there's also a lottery ticket, an additional lottery ticket that eventually will come out of this company, most likely, and that's you have an entire Ecuador play embedded within the company. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. We took over the shell that became Oro X in January of 2020. Our first project was an Ecuadorian exploration project. I had previously done some good business in Ecuador, so I partnered there with the biggest mining contractor in the country to take some of their, exploration and production portfolio assets public. So our Julian app property, we went public with that January 2020. We became Oro X in June of 2020. We've done two acquisitions over the past year. But given the developments in Peru and our potential to grow here, we're going to be spinning out the Ecuadorian projects sometime this year.
So a shareholder in Oro X will get an interest in yet another junior exploration play with its own advantages, its own projects and potential.
Correct. Yep. And we're very excited. Look, Ecuador right now obviously is going through an election cycle. Mm-hmm. We're confident pro-mining government will be chosen. And as soon as that's done, we'll be in there and investing more money into the country. But, that's a Q2, Q3 thing item this year. Right now, our focus is in Peru. We have a tier 1 exploration asset in Coriorcco ready to be drilled, and lots of interesting opportunities to acquire further assets. So I think we're in a good place.
Again, perhaps the best selling point you have is to look at Paul Matisic's record and look at what his previous companies have sold for, and then compare that to the market cap of Oro X, and just do the math and see what that potential multiple could be. Very exciting to be in on the ground floor of this new venture. It seems you're in the perfect position, and you've got a lot of news flow coming up. Luis, thank you so much for giving us the Oro X story.
Thank you, Brien. Appreciate your time, and looking forward to catching up next time I can see you when this pandemic's over.